The prodigal son is one of the most moving stories Jesus tells us in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15. So, who was the prodigal son? The prodigal son was a young man who had everything. He was blessed with a home, a loving father, and a sense of belonging. He was well aware of all that he had, yet he appreciated what he possessed more than the blessings themselves. In failing to appreciate God, those who loved him, and the blessings he had been given, it became easy for sin, such as greed, to settle into his heart and mind. Driven by greed, recklessness, and the temporary promise of gratification, the prodigal son formed a misguided belief. He believed that choice without consequence, pleasure without limits, and blessing without relationship would lead to fulfillment. This misplaced belief that fulfillment lies in worldly pleasure rather than in relationship and home takes root when we trust our desires more than God's wisdom. It happens when we believe distance from God will bring fulfillment, and when we mistake independence from His word for freedom. And so the prodigal son chose to leave. Scripture tells us in Luke chapter 15, verse 12 to 13, "The younger son told his father, 'I want my share of your estate now.' A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land. He asked for his inheritance early and walked away from his father's house, believing life would be better on his own terms and not God's. He didn't just leave home. He abandoned bonds, severed relationships, and in doing so, treated his father as though he were already dead. He lost guidance. He lost protection. The son wandered far, spent everything he had, and eventually found himself hungry, broken, and alone. What once felt like freedom became complete emptiness. Life unfolded as it often does, and a severe famine struck the land. The son became destitute and worked in disgrace, feeding pigs. He could no longer hide from the reality he had wandered into, not led there by God, but by his own desires. This is what becoming lost often looks like. It does not happen suddenly. It happens slowly, one choice at a time. As each choice builds upon the last, quietly drawing us farther from our path and leaving us wearied and wounded. And it was there, at rock bottom, at his lowest point, that he remembered home. He desired to return, not as a son, but as a servant. Aware of his errors, he found the courage to come back. He did not expect forgiveness. He sought restoration. He sought survival. But Jesus tells us something astonishing in Luke chapter 15, verse 20. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son. The father embraced him. He restored him. He did not shame him. He welcomed him fully, not as a servant, but as a son. Jesus tells us of the Father's rejoicing in Luke chapter 15, verse 24. "This son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found." This is the heart of the story. The prodigal son shows us that being lost does not mean being forgotten. Even when we wander by choice, God does not stop seeking us. Even when we feel far away, He is still near. This is why Jesus tells this story, to remind us of this truth. When we may believe we are beyond God's reach, or that today's pressures and worldly influences have caused us to fall beyond God's grace, stop and remember, this is what the enemy wants us to believe. Scripture reminds us that discouragement and deception do not come from God, as we are told in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. And again, we are reminded in Job chapter 1, verse 7. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered, "From going to and fro on the earth." In your heart of hearts, you must always know this. God will never abandon you. He will bring you back from your past, not leave you there. You are a child of God, and He sent His only Son, Jesus, to seek those who fall and lift them up again. You are never so lost that God cannot find you. The Father is still watching, still waiting, still ready to welcome you home. And no matter how far you have wandered, the moment you turn back, God's mercy will meet you.